Welcome to the King Me Collective podcast. I am Dylan King, and I can't thank you enough for listening to what I have to say. This is the space that I get to ramble about all of my projects, lessons, and even my entrepreneurial ADHD ideas. My hope is to inspire you with confidence that you take action towards your goals, and let's normalize learning on the go in your designated field. Time waits for no one, and the best time to start was yesterday, so let's go. Hey, what's up? It is week 3. So just kind of trailing off of last episode, right? Like I felt like I had so many of these jobs in front of me. I was really feeling super anxious. And in other moments, I was telling myself, like, look, this is the life that you've been manifesting. This is the success in the business that you've been manifesting. And like, it's never going to become that like big construction company investment situation, just you, because that's going to be impossible, right? I can't wear every hat. So last episode I talked about saying that I've hired my first W-2. He's going to work 3 days for me, running materials, etc. He also works on site with his dad, which is kind of heading my second crew. I did find like a carpenter that I'm going to give a try. He had done some smaller jobs for me about maybe a year and a half ago, but it wasn't ever anything for me to keep him busy enough to really stay with me. So I have him on deck for the other like investor opportunities that I have to work with. I sent out 3 of those estimates, so I have 2 more to give. Now, it was funny because I had therapy last week with my therapist, and we talk about personal things, but honestly, even being with my therapist bi-weekly helps me in times where I just feel like overload professionally, because like my stress like doesn't really come from home life, right? My marriage is great. Me and Missy have like a great relationship. We communicate great. We're an amazing team. The kids, they're good kids. So home life isn't really, say, like my reason to be in therapy and to work through things. It's to work through things from my adolescence, from growing up, but kind of things that like maybe in my life now that might trigger something from a past experience. But I also talk to my therapist a ton about these large decisions or things in work life that are making me very anxious. And so, yeah, last week, I recorded the episode on Monday and I had therapy on Thursday. And I just kind of was like, let's lay these things out. These are the things that are making me anxious, right? I have these 4 big jobs. 3 jobs are contracted with customers. 1 is my giant 3,800 square foot renovation, which I know if you're somewhere in a large city, you're probably laughing that I think 3,800 square feet is big. But to us, an average size single family home is, 17 to 1,900 square feet here. And I am doing a double of 1,900 square feet on each side. So yeah, but that'll be my largest flip, and it's also my first flip totally solo, not having a partner. So basically, we are booked for the rest of the year. Could we do, like, if I have repeat customers coming in, or friends that need like something small that's going to take us a day or two, like I can pull a guy or 2 and go do some odd end stuff if it makes sense. But professionally speaking, schedule speaking, like if you look at the schedule, once all of these jobs start, like we are booked for the year. I do have them staggering a little bit. For my secondary crew, they're starting a big job today. When I'm finished this, I am heading to Laplace to bring my dumpster so we can start clearing out to the office we are working at on renovating over there. So we start that, and then I have their second job starting October 5th, which gives them a little over a month to finish the renovation that we're starting today. It gives them about 6-7 weeks. And then the 2 jobs for my primary crew, Probably might start around the same time. The saving grace with that is the addition that we have with the customer. Once we get the permits for that, the first thing we have to get done is they are actually hiring another company. They hired a landscape company to do the landscaping after we're finished and to do the driveway, but they're also going to be the ones to do the demo of the driveway. So once we get that permit, the demo of the driveway has to happen first, and then I have to send my concrete crew over there to dig the trenches, to get the chain wall going and the pier system, the foundation system going, and then the framers over there to frame out the addition before my carpentry crew has to hop on. So even to say if I got my property and I got this permit for the customer around the same time, it would still be a few weeks before my carpentry crews needed over there. So even if they were to start at the same time, they can still stagger. So 2 jobs each to keep both of my primary and my secondary crew busy for the rest of 2026. I know good and well that my flip is going to go into 2027, which is good. I have my sights set on getting that on market late spring, early summer. It really just depends on when the closing actually happens. We don't have a close date yet. So we have that. We're busy. And then I had the 3 investors reach out to me and, give me 5 properties they wanted my price on. So I thought it was funny because I was like, you know what? How I can figure all this out is a lot of times when people use financing for big construction jobs, if you're not familiar, is the bank essentially like repays you. So you have to have like your money for closing, cash ready to go. And then you also have to have a chunk of money to kind of start the project, because most financial institutions or lenders aren't going to just like throw you a chunk to start. Most of them, how they do is they basically reimburse you. So like you get the job started, whatever the first step may be. Let's just say it's a brand new build. You go and you do the piers and the foundation, and then you can go back to them and say, hey, this is how much I've spent on my piers and my foundation. Here are pictures. They may accept your pictures through their own app, or they may send their own inspector out to the job site to check and make sure, right? Because they're not going to give you the money and say, all right, well, I hope this guy actually pays for piers and gets the foundation done on this project that we're like backing. What they're going to do is say, we approve this money, but you have to prove that essentially that work is there on site, that the supplies and the materials that you've bought on site are for that specific project. And then once it's in that location, most of the time permanently, like already installed or whatever it may be, then they give you that money back. So me and my therapist, she's like, one great thing she told me that was really helpful, they said, you don't have to be in the all or nothing mindset, right? And that's big for me, because that's definitely one way that I think is all or nothing. And that I can have it all, or I can do it all, but not all at the same time. So I appreciated that, because it definitely, and this is like a past thing coming up for me, but I tend to live in scarcity mindset. I do. And I think that's what causes a lot of my anxieties. I'm like, it has to be now or it's never. And that was another thing she said. It's not now or never. Some things are. She's like, but like this isn't, So what we did is I made 3 sections, and we said, okay, what are the solutions to these 5 extra jobs that I'm looking at? Number 1 was say yes to all of them. Number 2 was say yes to some of them. And number 3 was say no to all of the 5 extra. So looking at my columns in front of me, I physically wrote them down. I am like a physical, like helps me to write in columns and see. And I was like, okay, well, I can't say yes to all of them. I know that. I know I can't say yes to all of them. 1, for my mental health, my anxiety, but 2, quality control, right? I can use this third carpenter, like I said, he's done small jobs for me. I know he can work. I know he does good work, but I don't think I used him for weeks on end. So how consistent does he show up to work on time? How long does he work, like per day? Like, how, can I realistically gauge his timeline? So that was one thing. It was like mental health and then quality control. So I was like, okay, well, I can't say yes to all of them. Like, that's just not going to happen. And then also, if I end up having, let's just say I find a third crew and I can give them some of these jobs, and then they flake, or 2-3 weeks in, I figure out like this is not the quality of work I'm gonna put out, so they gotta go. Where I'm gonna have to pull from my primary and my secondary crew, and what's that gonna do? It's gonna slow down other timelines. So yes to all, totally out the window. Yes to some. I was like, we could do that. Just got to figure out how and which ones to say yes to. And no to all. I'm not going to say no to all of them because I do think that as long as I'm transparent, and some of them, I think two of them are like very light. One is kind of like one side of the double is pretty much already ready to go. Just needs a few like new exterior doors and sealing around the windows, and I think maybe a new vanity. It wasn't a lot. It was just like little touch-up stuff. It's basically move-in ready. The other side is gutted, but it's 1,100 square feet. So, and we're not moving walls. So that would pretty much take a permitting process, buy me a little time on that, and go through that one side. And then the other one is nothing is moving around. It's literally us going in there, smoothing out walls, painting, make sure no baseboards are missing, switching out cabinets, switching out, like it's like a really like 5x8 bathroom. So switching out the tub, like very basic, everything staying in place. The exterior being removed, and replaced. And it would be vinyl siding. So very quick. You get like a sheet of it. It's not like piece by piece. You get like a sheet of these panels. So I was like, maybe we can say yes to some of them. And then no to all of them was out the window. Because like I said, I think we can manage. And it's a growing, say, pain for me to say, okay, I've got these two on two. These, if I get extra, it will challenge me to develop a third team, and in turn will be better. So what I was going to say is how we figured out which ones to say yes to was to say, hey, and they all know that I'm an investor myself. They all know I'm a contractor with experience. So I went to all three investors and I was like, hey, before we start really digging in and spending a good amount of time on these estimates for you, I know time is money. I just wanted to see like what the financing is going to be like for your projects, because currently with the current things I have on my lap for other customers and my own flip as an investor, like the company doesn't have the funds to front any cost for any more jobs. So if we're not allotted, like we typically do a 20% deposit. It is negotiable depending case by case, like why you're either against the 20% deposit or why you don't have the full 20% deposit, if it might be because of lending. But typically it's a 20% deposit. So I went to all of them and said, we typically do a 20% deposit. Like if this is going to be an issue, because we will need it to start the project, because our liquid funds are currently fronting costs for other projects right now. And I was like, and whoever's like, oh, I have funding and I'm not going to be able to front anything until, there's progress, then that was going to be the one where like, I'm sorry, like I really, appreciate the opportunity. I was really looking forward to your project, but I just can't take it on right now because of the financing situation. Lo and behold, all three of them said they had the cash to start it. So there was one investor who, she has financing, but the lender she's using will allot some money for deposit. So it was funny. I actually texted my therapist later and was like, remember, like this was supposed to help me essentially make the decision, but it not really be my decision. It being like, this is like the name of the game kind of thing. I was like, well, all of them have the funds, so it didn't help. And my therapist was like, well, now it's time for you to make a decision. So yeah, it put me pretty much back to square one. So then what I started doing is looking at jobs that were similar, breaking it down, similar to each one of these extra 5 projects from the 3 new investors that are in touch with me. Um, and I figured out a rough square foot price, and I kind of sent them all, like, this is kind of like the price we're looking around, at minimum, most likely. And one of the jobs was like, that's too much, so I'm not even going to make a bid on that house. Um, so that got it down to 4. I sent the other one. I haven't heard anything back. I do think it was more than they wanted to spend. Um, but right, being booked for the rest of the year, 2 other entrepreneurs that I look up to have stated, price it like you don't want it, right? And it's not that I don't want the jobs. Of course, I want the jobs, but I'm in a position right now where taking on too many isn't beneficial. So a lot of times I'll get into a price and it'll feel really large, right? I just upped my prices and then we became booked for the rest of the year. What? Like, that's crazy. And I always hear that too. When I listen to this other, God, what's it called? I listen to this other podcast, and it's about wooiness in business. I forgot what it's called, but essentially it was like, let go, that you, like, stop thinking you charge too much. And the girl was actually like, as soon as I knew the value in my courses and I upped the price of my courses, she's like, my courses started selling out. And that's literally almost what happened to me. I got the new computer system I told y'all about that I'm paying like the hefty amount for, but it's been really helping. Has a lot of AI tools to help me get through estimates faster, help me like with the keep a library of our costs versus like our profit per line item. So it really helps me see our profit margins ahead of time, like way ahead of time. Because I used to just do everything by like paper. Um, so yeah, we started to raise our prices and we end up getting booked. Look at us for the rest of the year. So instead of me being like, oh, well, I don't need to make that much off of this line item, or let me not add that much contingency to materials. But what that started doing with jobs is like, one, I was lowering my price, right? Because why should I lower my margin? Because I'm scared of that price, right? Like, because I'm thinking of being on that site and it's scaring me. But I have to realize, like, these people are coming in asking for a experience with investors and experience with my own flips. Like, I have to realize the experience that I come with. And I also have to realize that the customer service that I come with. Like, I know for a contractor, I communicate a ton, you know? And that doesn't mean people are always happy, but I also just think that some people just aren't happy. But so I had to realize that we are there. We are contractors. We are a contracting company that shows up 8 to 5 or 6-ish Monday through Friday, and that we show up 8 to 4 on Saturdays without people needing to be like, is anyone showing up today? Is anyone showing up today? You know? So I know that I'm giving them good service, timely service, and communication. So yeah, I used to go into estimates a lot and be like, that's a pretty large profit margin. Like, let me cut it back a little bit. And I have noticed on jobs that I've done that, when you find any little thing, then your margin is so small that you have to continue to go back to the client, the customer, and say, oh, we opened that wall, we found this, it's going to be a little extra, I have to send a change order. And they're like, oh man, it's going to be more, right? Or, they ask for something small or something whatever, and, it is something very minor, and instead of having to be like nickel and diming, that fluff doesn't just come into my pocket. That fluff of contingency goes into, we can do these small things. We can handle these small things we find behind old walls or under old tubs or, any of that. We can handle things that kind of come up without having to go to the owner or the client and bug them every single time. And, once a week, they're just hearing like, oh, and another change order and another add to the bill and another addition to the bill. So, yeah, price it like I don't want it. One, keeps my profit margin in there. Two, keeps the client happy because we're handling all of these things that pop up or these minor changes, not needing to up the ante on them every single time. So, they feel like they're getting the bang for the original buck that they signed on, for longer. Now, sometimes so many things add on or some of the things are just larger, but then it gives me to where I'm not adding so much on. I just need a little bit more coverage because I already originally had that fluff. So with hearing from two entrepreneurs, price it like you don't want it, and then sitting with this realization of don't degrade my value and my experience and my customer service in this industry, and also the protection that I know that number gives the owner from continuous change orders. I'm leaving it as is. If that price is out of question for them, then maybe they will go find another contractor for this price. And I think my fear was, well, if I tell them no now, they're going to go find their guy and they're never going to ask me again. But I don't know that that's true. That's my own fear of the now or the never. So I put my true prices out there. And if I hear back and we get it, then that's great. It will be around for my third crew, and we'll see where it goes from there. But I also think it was funny that all the investors had the money to start, because I feel like it was the universe pushing me into that hard decision making, being like, no, you're not getting out easy on this one. We're not putting this answer on them. This is a situation for you to delegate and make the hard truth of, let's figure out what you can handle. Let's figure out how to get you there. And let's figure out how you can communicate this to the client and not push it off, right? I was trying to push off this decision on them themselves, and that didn't work. And it had to not work for a reason, because I've grown through it. So I was able to be upfront about the funding, got that answer, and then I was able to sit with my prices and say, these prices for what I give are fair, and these are my prices. Is there someone cheaper? Yeah, I'm sure there might be. Is there someone more expensive? Absolutely. I know I'm not the cheapest at this point, but I also know I am very far from the most expensive. So it is up to these investors to decide on my prices, and the ones that will work out, I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to grow through it, And my primary and secondary crew, they already know that I'm looking for a third crew. So they are also ready to say, if I need to call them once or twice a week to be like, can you just come help me look at this? This looks weird. Or how can I, because there's a language barrier with some of the guys, can you help me translate this type of stuff? And I think this is normal, right? Because even with my secondary crew, like I said, he came from masonry and concrete work, and he's doing amazing at carpentry. Amazing. He really is knocking it out the park. But there's been a few things that, I'm like, this is the product I always use for this. Or this is the only paint we use for this type of situation. Or no, we're going to give that the full data cure. We're going to put heat on it, so he's doing great. But I also, from watching my primary crew for years, gone to my secondary crew and been like, but this is the standard and this is how we handled this. And that's just what I'm going to have to do with the third crew. A little bit more work, because my secondary crew was still working for me prior. So he knows my communication, my paydays, he knows all of this stuff. Just worked with me essentially on the other side of the field with masonry. This crew, like I said, I've used them a few times, but on our small day, 1-2 day jobs. So I'm going to have to train them our way a little bit more, which is fine, and I'm willing to do if the demand is calling for that. I'm going to step into it and handle it. And do I think the first job will go as smooth? Absolutely not, right? Because they don't know my expectations, and I don't know, like I said, their hours or anything like that they typically work. But it's got to be to our standard. So I will be on that site more. I will have to give a little bit more of my time, and eventually I won't have to be on site so consistently anymore. But that's also the glory of my two head guys for my two other crews being so amazing and trustworthy, is that I know those crews, everything is going to go well. They're going to figure it out, and if something major happens, they're going to call me. And nothing's ever so major in construction that it's irreversible. That's the amazing thing about it. So we can always right the wrong, or we can always be innovative if, something isn't going to reroute like we originally planned because of a flat roof, or they actually don't have a studded wall, which you think is crazy, but you open up an old New Orleans house and you'll be very surprised to see how these walls are still standing somehow. So yeah, I think it was a really great learning week. We start a new job, a big job for my secondary crew. Still waiting on permits for that other one. They changed their mind on the plans, which is fine. I know everyone, especially when it's your primary home. It's like, if we're going to invest this much money into this property, but do we truly want it to be forever? I mean, even the guy, the husband called me. We were on the phone last week discussing the changes that they're now initiating with the guy who does the plans. He's like, I know we keep pushing back. He's like, but essentially we're moving out when y'all do it anyway, because originally we're going to work through the summer and just be out of their hair by the time school started. But now that they had all the mess ups, now we're in school season. He's like, since we're just going to move out anyway, he's like, we're just trying to figure out, like, when you leave that house is how it's going to stay. So he's like, we're just trying to figure out, how do we really want the house to basically stay forever? So it's a big decision. So I'll give them that. And I know we have the job, so also it's just a matter of when we get to start. So my primary crew is kind of going to have a chill week. Secondary crew, I'm really excited to get them onto this renovation for my sister-in-law's plumbing supply company that she manages. I know they're very excited. They're going to do like a whole grand reopening when we finish. I'm thrilled for them. I think it's going to like up her sales. Upping her sales helps her bonuses. So it's just super exciting to know that my job is going to help my family grow, but like the outcome of this job is also going to help, her family's financial situation grow as well. A big move we're doing for the company. We have the employee that started last week. He's doing great. He did really good for me last week. It was really nice to have the help out in the field. And it's going to be even better this week because, I was really training him, but primarily he's running material. So I'm not stressing too much over training him on estimates. And I actually don't have estimates to give this week, which is good. Like I said, we're booked. Still looking at this for 4 other jobs from the investors. So not necessarily looking to go provide estimates that are like ready to start ASAP. But I'm not really focused on him helping me with estimates as much as I am getting him to be able to material run. So he trained really great last week. He's ready to rock and roll for me now. So the help is going to feel even more beneficial to me this week because I'm not training him. I'm just kind of throwing him out there now. But also I went ahead and purchased a 8x20 cargo container that is being delivered to my house in 2 days. And I'm very excited about that. My area, I know I was telling you on last episode, my podcast office workout area is in my single car garage in my house, and I can barely walk through. So I knew I'm putting the money out there for the W-2 employee to get his pay every week. That's an investment into the company. So I'm not quite ready to say rent a storage space. I also don't want to rent. I don't want to. As an investor, I just feel like looking at it as how can I get something to help me now that can like in turn just be mine and it's a permanent investment for myself. So I think I touched on that we want a pool in the backyard. So I am getting this cargo container delivered this week. For now, I'm going to empty out all tools, work equipment, and materials into that container for the time being. Give ourselves a year or two to grow. And then when I am ready to find a permanent location for the company to purchase, whether it's a rundown house that I can just use commercially, whether it's a house that's in a sub like commercial area that I can eventually tear down, or it's just a empty lot for dirt cheap because it's maybe not in like the best neighborhood, or it's not the ideal size for a home to be built on. Sometimes these lots will go for super cheap because, one, if it's the neighborhood, people don't really want to invest in that neighborhood. Or if the lots, we get a lot of lots that are like really small, so they're not like ideal for being able to build the square footage you know is going to sell. So if we get like a lot for dirt cheap, I might just buy it and fence it in and kind of at least make me like a storage yard type of situation on it. We will see. But what I'm trying to say is this cargo container will serve for the company for the time being, and it'll do exactly what I need it to do right now, and delivered and everything with a warranty on it is $1950. $1,950. I priced a tough shed. It was 2 feet wider, but 2 feet wider, and it was $10,000 to $12,000 depending on like what type of roof line I put on it, or how many windows or vents, and like all those. $10,000 to $12,000. And actually, that was without the foundation system. That was without piers, because I was like, I'll have my crew do my piers. So for this cargo container, I didn't have to do like chain wall piers. I just had to basically put block on top of itself. So me and the Leon, my secondary crew, the guy that came from foundation and masonry and everything, we went in the yard and just leveled 6 piers with block, and I've got the cargo container scheduled for 2 days to be delivered for $1950. Like, I cannot beat that. So I'm super excited to have that clear out the space. It's going to help my productivity. If you haven't tried it and you're trying to work in a cluttered space, just try decluttering your workspace or like your bedroom and see how much it helps you breathe and start seeing things clearly, because it definitely helps me. So got the W2 guy, going to let him just go on his own. I'm sure I'll get texts and calls, and that's totally fine. But the fact that I don't have to physically be on the site is going to be amazingly beneficial to me getting administrative stuff done, etc. So we have that going on, cargo container, clearing some space, got the estimates out there, waiting to hear back from those investors who I'm waiting to hear from, and going to start knocking out this first big job for my secondary crew. I'm super pumped. I guess the message just keep going, y'all, right? Like, I was scared last week. I would go into like, this is exactly what I want. Like, I can't handle it. And like, if I tell them no, they're never going to come back. And maybe they won't. But if I say yes to all of them, I'm putting my brand and my reputation on the line to possibly go away. I don't want it to, because it's too much for me to handle. So I have to find the way to delegate and the way to make sure that it's realistic and protect the brand. And if you don't notice, look at this. Got our new shirts in. King Me Collective right here. I'm super excited. It feels good. It feels like it is my brand. This weekend I even made live, I published the kingme-collective.com. So that is going to be the hub for everything I am doing. It felt like, I know I already kind of spoke about this, I think in the very first episode, there was just so many facets, like how can I do all of it? So we've made the umbrella King Me Collective for everything. And the website, I'm still building it, but it's at least published because the shirts have the new website on the back. So I was like, I definitely want to make sure that if anybody, I don't know how many people are going to the website that they read on the back of somebody's shirts, but it's there for a reason. So just in case someone does, I was like, let me go ahead and publish this. So what I did is like basically hyperlinked our current website, dmkingcontractor.com, to the homepage of kingme-collective.com. I hyperlinked it, and I did start putting in different sections. Like I'm going to have a section in there, not just for the construction, but to inquire if you have like a house that you need us to wholesale, a house that you like need to get off your plate, because of tax liens, or you're an heir to it and just don't have the means, or you're not local. So if you're listening anywhere and you have a blighted or just neglected or house that you just don't have the means to take care of, if you're facing foreclosure, we help people a ton getting out of foreclosure, because at minimum, most of the time we can pay off what you owe. We can give you a little cash in your pocket to move forward, and we save your credit in your name for the next 7 years, right? So have a section for people to tell us if they need help with their property in some way, and then also making a section for anyone who wants to become a partner. These wholesale properties, they move very quick. So going through traditional financing takes at least 30 days, 30, 45 days sometimes, depending, especially when it's a house like that needs to be flipped. It's, an FHA isn't going to give me a loan, so we have to go through how much work needs to be done, how much I need to do all that, how long I think it's going to take me to sell. And also they have to send their appraiser and be like, is this house actually going to sell for that? Or is he just like freaking lying to us? Because like they have to protect themselves. They have to make sure they're getting their money that we're borrowing back. So I'm having another tab on there, scrolling down through the pages to become a partner, $75K minimum, but to get on board and let your money make profit for you, basically becoming a silent investor to these properties. It will help me obtain more of these properties from people who need help out of foreclosure or whatever. It'll help me help them faster, because if they're basically waiting for foreclosure, like they can't really wait much longer for my loan to come through. So having these cash partners help me help these people faster. And then it also helps the project work faster, because I'm now not waiting to send in proof that all this work has been done and wait for them to pay me. Okay, pay everything back. Now I can go get more. Like, it speeds everything up. It speeds me up acquiring the properties, helping these homeowners that need help out of these properties, and then it helps the project go faster. And then also, I'm paying you more than 3 or 4% that it's making in your CD. Okay, so if you're someone out there that has $75K that you want to invest, I pay you when the house sells. When I fix it up and I sell it, you get your money back plus whatever percentage we have agreed upon. But so far, it has all been double that 3 or 4%, at least double that 3 or 4% that you're making in your CD, and it's not in a year. It's typically like 8, 9ish months. No one can predict the market, so I can't like write down like that promise, but typically the flip, working on it, selling, it's going to take 8 to 9 months. You're making double your investment in less time. So if you have any interest in that, and maybe you're not yet, maybe you're still watching me from the sidelines, and that's great. I know some people are. Whatever it is for you, you can't hand over that kind of money until you're comfortable, and I get it. So all I'm going to keep doing is trucking forward, making sure my brand stays on point, making sure we are customer service and quality and timely and transparent with our customers, and moving forward. So yeah, investment last week was W-2 employee, helper. This week, letting him go, and not letting him go, but letting him go free on the field, and just Q&Aing with him throughout the day, and then also getting the cargo container as my work storage unit, which I'm really excited that we even need that, because with the size jobs we were doing before and the number of jobs we were doing before, I might have a few paint cans or a few bags of self-leveling concrete type of stuff on the side, but I have so much material here because we have so many jobs, and it's great, and I'm excited. So I am really excited that we even have the need to expand the space that I need to store this material for jobs. So thanks for tuning in. Go get it, whatever your company is, whatever industry you are in. Face the fears. We're going to grow through them, but also we have to learn how to say no sometimes, right? And I know for a fact that it has been, my company made this turn when I splurged on that new software and raised our prices. So take that for what it is. Find the value in yourself. Know that you have value and you're worth it. So go out there and handle your business this week, and I'll see y'all next week. Gratitude is where everything begins, so thank you again for thinking what I have to say is worthy of your time. If you'd like to find out more about what I do and keep up with what we have going on, find me at kingme_collective on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, and Facebook. I am Dylan King, your host and owner of D&M King General Contractor LLC, serving the New Orleans metro area. If you found something I said useful, like, subscribe, share, comment, or don't. Either way, take care until next week and go get it.